All right, guys, welcome back to the Five Guys podcast. We are here with Joel,
Jonathan,
myself, Javier,
and Daniel.
And we're the Five Guys. As you guys can see, we have a new member here to my left. This is John. So, John, go ahead and give us a little elevator pitch about yourself, and we'll start from there.
Well, a little bit about myself. My name is Jonathan. Grew up in Oregon. Met these lovely dudes when I moved out to Stockton, and we found that we had like a lot of similarities, and established a great bond. And I'm just stoked to be here to be a part of my first podcast since I missed the last episode. But super excited for this journey. So. Yeah, thanks for the intro.
Yeah, for sure. So, as you guys know, we're called the Five Guys. There's four of us here on this side. We actually have our fifth member that's behind the camera. His name is Rob, a very genuine guy. He'll be hopping in the podcast every now and then. We'll jump right into it. So, how was you guys, from the last podcast, it's been, 2-3 weeks? So, anything new? I know Daniel actually ran a marathon, or half marathon.
I ran a half marathon. I'm kind of just getting into running. I wanted to do a half marathon before I stepped into a full marathon. My half marathon was on the 18th. I did all right, finished in an hour 43, which is like a 7:55 mile pace. Looking to do something big next year for a full marathon, but we'll see how that goes. I've been training. I don't really know how to train to be a runner. I just kind of do it I just go out there and run for time on feet, and then that's about it.
Right. And for your age, what was it from where you placed?
Oh, it was a small half marathon in Davis, the little turkey trot. But in my age group, I finished 7th out of 30 people or something like that.
Which is pretty solid.
Good.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah. And then I think I got 50th out of 400 people, 3 something. Yeah. It was pretty cool.
You guys will never see me out there running a half marathon. I think running for me is a no-go.
No, we're all signing up for a Spartan race in March, all of us. So
I don't
you
know
guys be ready for that.
I don't know if I'm doing that.
Dude, I think that would be sick just to test it. Joel. He's going to be the mascot cheering side, providing the water.
Right. Well, we have a new year coming up. So, maybe it's time to try new things. Yeah. Actually, one of my goals for next year is I actually want to compete in my first powerlifting comp. So, we'll see how that goes. My numbers are looking pretty decent now. I don't have an actual coach, but I think maybe when I get an actual coach, my numbers will be up there. So, I don't know. It seems like he's into running. I'm starting to do a little powerlifting journey. We'll see how that goes.
But I'll still continue to do powerlifting just to beat him at his meet.
He won't. He won't. He can't even squat 500 right now.
Yes, I can.
No. And I know John's on his little bulking stage. How's that going?
Dude, the bulk is bulking. The amount of comments I've received, specifically from Joel, saying that I have let go has been more encouraging just to keep going. But honestly, yeah, it's been really good. I'm seeing an increase in all my lifts. Definitely just focusing on the form, eating a lot of food. I'm not gonna lie, I've been eating a lot, waking up hungry, dreaming of food.
So you grubbed on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, dude. But ultimately, yeah, it's been a crazy journey. Obviously your body getting acclimated to just the recovery itself is pretty crazy. I just feel I'm starting off a lot slower, and it's taking me more time to warm up to the lifts. But once I get there, my lifts are feeling pretty good. I was just explaining to Daniel today that even my bench today, I only went up to 325, got that for 3 pretty solid, dropped down to 295, got it for 6, and so, and then squat, same thing, 405 for 5 this week.
Nice.
And yeah, we're pushing through, but your boy's getting husky. So
yeah, you're looking solid for sure.
Yeah, thank you, bro.
Really, I wanted to tell a really quick story. So us three, we actually met at the, what was it, the Persian?
Yeah.
Persian In Shape.
Yeah.
And we used to see each other, and I think you were oh, I'm chasing you. I want to catch up to your numbers. Well, right now, it's me chasing you. So it's cool how we have our own little we're just there to push each other. And right now, you're hitting what, 325 on bench for?
Yeah, for 3.
For 3, that's
3
solid.
reps.
See, and I'm barely hitting 315 for a single.
Yeah.
And I can't even hit 315.
Yeah, so it's
And
been,
Joel's hitting 2. What are you hitting right now, Joel?
185.
185.
Yep, for a struggle too.
big
Yeah, for a
wins.
big struggle.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's been, yeah. I mean, that's a cool story in itself, because I think it just like explains how just like-minded people, when they get in the same room together and frequently see each other, how like that can be very motivating. And like, yeah, I've always chased you guys, bro, honestly, for a long time. And I know I recently told you guys that, but
Right.
I think that in itself is just motivating, and not in a way of like, I need to be better than you, but it's just like that competition factor, like sibling love, like
That's
I have
that's how it
something to
is.
prove,
That's
you know
how
what I
it
mean?
is.
So it's been a great journey, and just like, I think coming into the gym, you know, and seeing you guys do your thing just motivates me more, because I'm like, I'm not there yet, but I'm stoked that they're there, and I'm gonna get there, you know, eventually. So
Definitely.
It's
It's
been
all
dope.
it's all competition for sure.
dude, yes, absolutely. It's been awesome, very rewarding.
Yeah, definitely. So, Joel, how's your little journey on your bodybuilding journey going? Road to the Olympia?
Road to the Olympia, definitely. I'm definitely in a season where I definitely feel a lot more lost in my training. Like, I'm just like, I'm always finding myself being eligible to push more than I had originally intended. So I'm just like, I'm like trying to separate the doubt that lives in me when I first step into the room. I'm trying to separate that portion of myself in my training. Or I would say like be more inviting of it, like just coming to terms with it. Like, Joel, like, you're stronger than how you perceive yourself to be. Like, dude, just like go in full force and just tunnel it. Like okay, the only thing that will happen is just if I fail, I fail. You know, it's like there's no reason to be afraid of that. So like I've just been catching myself pushing more. Like, we were joking around today saying like I couldn't push hundreds. And like I was pushing hundreds today. So just because of the fact that like I just had that encouraging reminder that like you guys expect that out of me, and I'm appreciative of that. So like this week I've just been like feeling very grateful, like lost in gratitude, if that makes sense. Like I'm just like taking it with grace and just like being very appreciative of where I'm at. Even though if I don't understand where I'm at, it just feels really, really good to be here, knowing that like I'm me and I'm doing this with the people who I chose to do life with.
Right.
So yeah, it's been very fruitful. It's been good.
So your bodybuilding comp is what's the date?
I think it's June 4th.
June 4th?
Yeah, June 4th.
So I expect everybody that's watching to be there to support.
Oh my
Joel.
gosh, if I don't pull out or something happens.
No,
But,
dude, you got it, dude. You for sure got it. From where you started to now, there's definitely growth, for
Thank
sure.
you.
You look good.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's just like as of right now, like I feel like both of my worlds are colliding, because like, you know, like doing like social media or like living like the life that I want to live with my friends, like I'm definitely like having difficulty finding a balance. Like I thought I could really do it, but in reality, like I just see myself like missing out or not taking certain things seriously, knowing that I should. So like yeah, I'm very convicted, because I'm just like, wow, you know, like everybody's expecting me to do this, but I'm out here living my life, you know, when I know like I had promised an expectation to people, you know. So like I'm just learning to just like find peace that like, Joel, there isn't a balance as much as you want there to be. It's either like you pick bodybuilding or you pick this. I'm just like, right now I'm learning to just differentiate my needs and my wants and where I need to place my attention, because right now like everything's just like going so good in my life right now. Like things could always be better, but as of right now, like what I'm pursuing, I'm achieving. So I'm just like, I would say, like, really just grateful. I'm grateful for you guys too. So, yeah.
That makes sense, yeah. So you're talking about balance. You feel like you're not able to find it. So I feel like there should be a balance in everything.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm struggling to find a balance because I'm a power lifter / bodybuilder. And it is hard to find that balance, because you want to excel in one, but then you also want to excel in the other. And it's just like, you're never going to find that equal balance, because I feel if you're working on bodybuilding, you're not really pushing the numbers that you want to do for powerlifting. Vice versa for bodybuilding, you're not going to have the aesthetics. I mean, I feel like I look pretty decent, but for where I want to be, it's not where, aesthetic-wise, no. And then for my powerlifting numbers, I have decent numbers, but it's not like, oh my God, he's pulling, 700 on deadlift or like 600 squat or something like that. So I get what you're saying about like that balance part. So it's like you're either going to do you're going to be all in on one or all in the other. And I think that's what I'm finally coming to terms with for like this powerlifting thing that I'm coming up with. Because I was talking to one of the people that go to the gym here, and she's like, you need to just get a coach and just do strictly powerlifting, do a show, see how it goes. It'll make it like a huge difference. So I think that's what I'm going to do. We'll see how it goes. I mean, next year's a new year to try new things.
Yeah.
New year, new me. No.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, me and Joel were talking about this as well earlier, and I think, like, yeah, they both just consume so much energy, right? Like, being able to live the lifestyle you want, but also staying strict and disciplined. But I think the one thing that has reassured me, like, hey, like, it's okay, is just, like, it's a game of patience. And it's not always, like, in the time that people want, but it's not about what people want, right? Like, if he's going to commit to a show, it doesn't have to be next year if he doesn't want to. It could be whenever he wants, as long as you're happy with where you're at and what you're doing. But I also watched something, which is funny, today about, like, powerlifting and power building or, like, you know, physique, etc. But they're like, yeah, dude, like, you reach a point where you are lifting so much that you kind of have to get repetition in a specific I guess power building area. And so, like, yours being like, oh yeah, I want to look good, but I want to lift heavy. I think they complement each other, and I think people kind of get stuck in the stigma of, like, I have to compromise one for the other, otherwise I won't excel. But it's like, no, take a detour, right? Like, get the experience that you need, which you have. And I've always been like, this dude looks like Superman, bro. Both of you know what I mean? And that's one thing that I'm starting to comprehend a little bit more, is that, like, in order to reach my goals, I have to at least have some experience in my powerlifting skills in order to reach my physique skills. But it doesn't mean I have to sacrifice it. It just means I have to take a detour to learn more, you know what I mean? Because the end result, I'm going to hopefully be more well-rounded, where I'm like, I look good, but I'm lifting heavy. But I needed to learn technique. I needed to learn from a coach who knows what they're talking about in order to reach my weightlifting goals and look the way that I want to, you know?
Definitely.
And that's very controversial because, you know, everyone's going to have their own opinions, but that's something I was thinking about. I was like, I probably would never reach my goals now if I haven't watched the powerlifters that I've seen, like you guys, and the way that you train, and even talking to some of the people here. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I definitely need to learn, those styles and be a little bit more of a master of the craft before I continue to aim for what I want, you know?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like that kind of makes sense, because when I was getting ready for my little half marathon, I kind of stopped powerlifting, like doing my super heavy compounds, because I feel like it was taking a toll on my body when I'd go for my runs and stuff. So I kind of just set that aside. But now that it's over, like, I'm starting to pick it up again. So yeah, I know what you were saying. I know what you meant.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I need to like venture out and find another hobby. I mean, of course, the gym, I'm always going to be going to the gym. But I mean, maybe finding something else will...
Running.
I don't know if I could do running, honestly. I have like that nagging injury on my quad, and it's just like, I don't know if I could do it.
Yeah, I definitely am more of I need to be exerting myself for a purpose, like sports. And so, like, running kind of gets mundane sometimes, but I think, like, the more you practice and get addicted to it and get better at it, like, the more it becomes, like, you know, something that you find as an interest. But kind of reverting back to what we were saying about, like, the different styles of lifting, I kind of look at it, like, the analogy that I would use is like a full course meal, right? Like, every bodybuilder will tell you that you probably need, like, a protein of some sort, right? You need your vegetables, and you probably need some sort of, like, carbs, right? And that's kind of how I've been viewing the way that I'm lifting, is that, yes, I'm going to need my, you know, power lifting, but I'm also going to probably need some cardio, which I do not do a lot of.
Yeah,
and obviously, like, you know, focusing on, like, tension and, like, all this other, you know, all the other aspects of, like, lifting that come together to make this full course meal that is probably going to be, like, the most benefit to you. But it also is, like, how people say, what's your body type, you know, like, check this, you know, your genetics, what's going to work for you. And I think, like, the more that you get more granular with some of these details, the easier it is for you to put together a meal plan that works for you.
Definitely.
Referring to, like, your lifting styles, but I do think they all kind of complement each other at the end, because like you're gonna need that full balance. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a coach?
Dude, honestly, okay, so my uncle, so I played sports growing up, typical like football jockey, wrestled, did a bunch of, like, played basketball, ran track, but my uncle, like, I had the privilege of him being my athletic trainer from the time I was in junior high until the time I graduated high school. So he was my coach in not only like athletic conditioning and sports, but also in the gym as well, because he competed. And he was definitely somebody who's taught me a lot of like what I know. But I think like the biggest coaches that have influenced me in just like my journey in fitness have been the random people that like took the time to stop me and be like, hey bro, you're doing that wrong. And
you know what, and I think we actually had this conversation not too long ago about like the older people that kind of would be like, that would want to help us out. And now I feel like it's almost, the gym is almost moving away from that. It's like it's like
like when we first started,
when we first started,
the older
it was like
people
the
would help
older
us.
guys that would be there and be like, hey, let me give you a few tips.
You don't really see that anymore.
Well, I feel like now that you try to do it, it's like,
no, I'm doing it right.
Yeah, like they don't want to know. They're just like, I'm gonna do it this way, and that's it.
Yeah, I think, we did have this discussion, recollecting back to it, like, yeah, the gym culture back then was so about like helping other people win, you know what I mean? And even today's, age and generation of body building, like it seems to be more shallow and like selfless. Not saying that's the case for everybody, because obviously I met you guys.
Right. Well, I feel like this gym is pretty good about.
Yeah.
We have a pretty decent gym culture here. I haven't really ventured out to. I know In Shape, when I first started, was really good. You could just talk to anybody and they'll be like, hey, let me show you how to do the tricep pull downs really quick, or let me show you how to do this or something.
Let me show you how to bench.
Yeah, literally. But nowadays it's just like, I'm like, dang, that kid, he was just trying to help you out, and you're like, nah. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, I think it's like an increase in arrogance nowadays. It's just like everyone's trying to be better than everyone else, but it's like if you look at people who are doing it the best, learn from them, like soak that up as a sponge. Because I think, the people that I learned the most from were the people, one, that checked me and helped me out like with my list, but I saw people doing it and I inquired about like how they were training, right? Like I was like, cool, I don't have all the answers, so how am I going to get the answers? It's probably from the person who's doing the things right. That gym culture has just changed over, the years, and I've definitely tried to assist people, and it's come across as like me being like, you look stupid, rather than like being helpful.
Right. Or they'll look at you like, oh, you think you know it all,
Yeah.
And I'm like,
and the way that like I explained it was like the intentions versus impact. The intentions were pure and good because I want you to like know what you're doing, and maybe like welcome my critiques, but also contradicting that. The impact was like, oh yeah, like you're saying like this dude's kind of like a douchebag, or he thinks that he knows more than me. And it was like, no, dude, like take it or leave it. At the end of the day, I'm walking away with my success, and you can either be successful or not. And I know success is just like a huge word for people, you know what I mean? But even like the smallest, wins are the game changers for a lot of people. And so, I've always tried to carry that sense of gym culture with me, because I like just empathize with it in a real way of like, I just want the people around me to feel like they could always come to me, or like if I'm doing something that I don't know, like, or don't look like I know what I'm doing correctly, I want them to help me, you know what I mean? And I've come to you guys about certain things like deadlifts and et cetera, which I'm like, I am just like humble enough that you guys are even taking the time to like help me, you know what I mean?
Dude, and there's different techniques, there's different ways to do it. It's not one all be all. Like it's this way and that's it. There's different techniques. I'm trying to think of an example.
Like
our bench
squat?
press.
Okay.
Even for our bench press, people bench flat back, and that's fine. If that's the way that they want to bench and they're moving weight, that's fine. But I feel like, well, we train a little bit more powerlifting, so we get the little arch in your back, retract your scapula, and we do pause. So I mean, there's people that don't do pause reps. I feel like pause reps are super beneficial. And then when you're using your leg drive, makes a big difference too. And there's people that I know that they're super strong, and I'm like, you use leg drive? They're like, no. So it's just taking in like tips from other people, because I think more knowledge is beneficial. So I mean, why not?
Yeah, I would totally agree. And yeah, I mean, it's cool. Again, I think like the one thing I brag about the most is that just like my friends who I've met at the gym have been like a huge proponent to where I am today, right? Like all these like achievements and PRs, like I can literally look back and be like, yeah, but so-and-so spotted me, or so-and-so hyped me up, and so-and-so reposted my story, or like, you know, that's what it's about, you know. And you know, that's something that I try to teach people who are a little bit younger, you know, because I think they're a little bit more malleable. But as we like, it's true, man. I mean, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks sometimes, and especially just like the culture of like, and I don't mean to bash on anybody in any way, but like when I moved to California, the gym culture was so much different than Oregon. And like selfies were normalized here, and like guys like recording content, and like up there, like if you even took a picture, you were kind of a douchebag, and everyone was like, you know, they made fun of you. But like coming down here where things were a little bit different, it was an adjustment for me, and I was like, oh, like this is what it's really like. But I see like both sides of it, because like again, like I just grew up with like more old school lifters who were like, hey youngin, I'm just going to teach you what you need to know, because like that's an extension of my legacy going on to you, and I hope one day, you know, like one, you learn from it, it resonates with you, but you're able to help the other people around you who are in the same position. Because coming to the gym is scary, especially when you're like new, fresh, don't know what you're doing, trying a new workout. You see someone doing something that you don't really know how to do, and you just wish like subconsciously that somebody would come up to you and be like, hey, can you help me out, or can you teach me how to do this? But I think that like that fear is what hinders a lot of people from asking for help, or even one like welcoming the help that's offered, because we kind of go into survival mode, you know what I mean? And then our machismo kind of, you know,
dude, yeah,
comes out, and we're like defensive, but it's like you're only defensive because you're insecure. Like if you were just more welcome to learning from people who are doing it right, then like that will change, and then you would be a better off like in your fitness journey, but also like in your mentality, emotionally. Like coming to the gym will feel more natural. And I think, you know, I guess this is my personal opinion too, like why people are afraid to get started or they don't stay consistent is because they're so insecure with how they look, or like afraid of judgment. And right. It's like we live in a generation where everything's on social media, everyone's judging everybody, everyone's comparing, and when you stop worrying about what other people have to say and just stay in your lane, bro, that's when things like change. And when you welcome people into that, you know, because if you're insecure, you step out, you make a change, like you're paving the path for people who are similar in that. And I say this because I started recording content too, like this year, and one of my first videos was just talking about how scared I was to even like get behind the camera or like set up my tripod, take a selfie.
I feel like that right now,
in
front of the camera.
Yeah, but the amount of just like support from people who are like feeling, you know, parallel to the way that I was feeling, I was like, wow, that is so cool, because that's what it's about. Like at the end of the day, I'm being brave.
You're putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
You're doing something new.
Mm-hmm.
And
I can't even take a selfie in the gym right here. I get too nervous.
You know what I mean? And it's kind of astonishing to think that people are like, you know, like they're like, why aren't people helping me, or why am I comparing myself? But it's like you're putting yourself in a position to lose. Just step out, be brave, because you don't know what the outcome's going to be. And most of the nicest people that I've ever met at the gym are the people who are randomly, like, I met randomly, but that are like killing it. You know what I mean? Like Vinny is a perfect example of someone who's just killing the game, but he's one of the nicest people, even though he looks intimidating as hell.
Right,
dude.
He's solid. He's solid.
Mm-hmm. So like, I don't know. That's just been something that's been like on my mind the last like few years, and it's just been like, I just hope people, like, as intimidating as we may seem, like people who are doing the things right and like putting up heavy weight and like looking good, you know, getting ready for their comps, that they just like don't always have a shallow mindset of like, oh, these people are probably mean, but because I think a majority of us are super nice and we're willing to help people out. Because I wouldn't be in the position that I am in if it wasn't for me just being like, hey, can you spot me? And you guys being like, dude, hell yeah, I got you, and like cheering me on along the way.
And the biggest dudes are usually the nicest ones. I remember when I first started working out, I would at In Shape, dude. Little scrawny Daniel walking in shape. I would go and ask the biggest dude, and be like, dude, how did you get your shoulders like that, bro?
I would do the same thing. I'm like, dude, you look crazy.
Yeah,
I remember being in Lake Tahoe training.
Yeah, and I asked that guy.
Dang, this guy's shoulders are crazy.
And then you're like, go ask him. And then I walk over there and ask him. Yeah, everyone's nice.
Yeah, I feel like there is a right time to do it, though, because if they're locked in, don't bother them. I feel like if they're locked in, let them do them, because...
Yeah, and Joel needs to learn that, because I'll be locked in and he'll be coming and talking to me all the time.
No, but I feel like there is a point to where some people you just have to know. Once you're in the gym community and you can tell that they're locked in, it's just like, okay, let them do them. If I need a spot, I'll ask, somebody else.
Yeah, and I think it just boils down to like gym etiquette, which you think would be common sense, you know what I mean? But, common sense is only reality if you have some sort of experience. And like, I know people are learning it, but, there's still times where I'm like, did you not see that there's someone's phone right there and you're going to snag that from them?
Or the other day when, you were waiting for the calf machine, and somebody had literally a bottle just sitting there, and they were doing another machine, and they weren't even using the calf machine, and I'm like...
Yeah, exactly. So I agree with you. I think like over time you start to get familiar with what gym etiquette is to certain people, because we see people waiting for a bench, and you're like, oh, that guy's standing there. He's obviously probably waiting for this piece of equipment, but most people would see that as like, oh, he's just standing there wasting time, you know what I mean? So it's like that perception, but I think like, in agreement with you, like there is a time and place to ask people for help, or like, ask for a spot, or just like ask for advice. And I think like the more that you get in routine with your gym regimen, the more that you just gain experience like with social cues in the gym.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? And I think like, that just stems from like just being considerate as a human. Just being considerate human, like, hey bro, like it's not about you. Like we're all here doing the same thing, and although there's limited equipment, there's like multiple of us that are like on the same journey, just different paths, So, but yeah, I agree. I think like gym etiquette is something that I wish people knew more of. But then it comes back like the gym etiquette I learned again, just is like the old gym culture. Like if I took a bench, the big dude using it is probably going to come up to me and be like, hey bro, like I was using that.
You know what, and talking about old gym culture, we're bringing back the crop tops.
Oh, yes.
And I mean, that's what, 80s, 90s?
Yeah.
And I know it's pretty controversial for some people, but I'm like, hey, I mean, if you feel like, if you look good and if you want to wear a crop top, do it. I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with it. I know that you'll definitely get looks at the gym, for sure. But I mean, like you said, it doesn't matter what other people think. If you want to wear a crop top, go for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely think it's wearing it with confidence, because like I'm not saying I have the best figure, but I enjoy them. Like I generally just like feel cooler when I work out. It's like more of a breeze. Like I get to see the muscle groups that I need to see. But I've worn them in the gym and outside of the gym. Obviously got mixed reviews, But at the end of the day, I was like, I'm not going to stop wearing them because of how other people are judging them. Like, I feel good. And the fact that, like, I surround myself with people who are so supportive. We push each other. We're, like, lifting big weights and, like, doing these things. Like, it's not even looked at as, like, a negative thing anymore.
Right.
But you guys, right, have, kind of caught on to that train. I've even given Joel one of my personal crop tops. And, it's definitely, like, one of those trends that's coming back. And I think it's just like important for people to know, like, hey dude, like, back then it was never about what you wore. You know what I mean? It was about how you lifted, your attitude in the gym.
And you'd see the most massive dudes wearing them too.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
Wow, these guys look crazy. And I used to think a couple years ago, I'm like, these guys look so sick. Why can't we bring it back? And look what we're doing. We're trying to bring it back. Yeah. We'll see where it goes.
I think it's a good look, and I think people are starting to catch on to it, because it does just feel good. I mean, I don't know, like speaking on my own experience from wearing them, which is just a slight trend, a slight like cut across the midriff and cut off the sleeves, but it's cool to just like feel relaxed at the gym, but also just like look good. Like I feel good when I got a good pump going on, and like I feel massive. I'm seeing all the parts that I need to see, and I like the style of it. So
yeah. And then really quick, speaking about the gym, I was getting feedback from a couple of our audience members, and a couple questions came through. So one of the questions was, how do you start going to the gym and staying consistent? Because I know a lot of people struggle with that. I want to go to the gym, but I don't know how to start. Maybe we can give our audience maybe like 5 tips on how to start. Just put yourself out there and just get started.
Yeah, I think this would be a good question for each of us to kind of share an opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I guarantee we all had our own personal reasons of why we started, but also why we stayed consistent. But I would love to hear your guys' opinions too, your stories.
Do you want to start it off, Daniel?
Sure. You said to stay consistent?
Yeah, like how to start going. So say you've never been to the gym. Like, what was your reason to be like, I want to go to the gym, and why you stayed consistent?
Yeah, and I think to add to that, hold on one second. So sorry. The way that I interpreted that was like, what was your defining moment of like, one, building the courage to start, and then second, coming back? Because I think there's this trend of January 1st is coming up, and people are like, day one, and that's the only post we see for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Day 1, day 2, day 3, and then they fall off.
Yeah, and they fall off, and I know there's the stereotype of the 2-week wall, but like, how do you surpass your limit? That limit, consistent. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I interpret it. Like, one, what was the defining moment? So 2-part question. One, what was the defining moment for you to get started? And 2, what was the motivation to keep going?
I feel like for me is once I started going to the gym and like seeing like progress a little bit, I was like, damn, I look kind of good in the mirror. So I was like, dude, I could get even bigger. So I just kept going and going. And I feel like once you go a certain amount of times and it becomes part of your schedule, then like, or it becomes consistent, it's just part of your schedule. And then that's how it even is for me.
It becomes a routine.
A routine, yeah, sorry. But yeah, that's how it is for me, even to this day. It's just part of my routine. There's days I don't even want to go to the gym, but I'm like, all right, it's part of the routine. Got to go, get it done. Yeah.
Yeah, and for the people that are struggling to get into the gym, it's like, how do I word this? You literally have to just get a membership and show up. As easy as that may seem, I mean, you just show up and do, even if it's like 20 minutes of cardio, or like you have no idea what you're doing, show up and kind of just watch what other people are doing, or before you even go to the gym, maybe throw on a YouTube video and look up a routine, something like that. I think the first thing that you need to do is just show up. And after that, everything will kind of just start falling into place, because you show up, you start getting a routine going, and it kind of just takes off from there, because I feel like I started almost the same way. Show up, get a routine going, and that's how I'm still here, honestly.
Yeah, and I think like my own personal experience, it's definitely changed over the years, for sure. Like my reason why I keep doing what I'm doing. Initially, right, I think I was just tired of being the underdog. Like I was insecure. I wasn't the biggest. I wasn't the most talented. And I was tired of playing the victim. And I was like, there's no one else who's going to be capable of making this change for me besides myself. And if I'm tired of feeling this way, I'd rather put myself through the harder feelings of pushing myself, staying motivated, staying dedicated, and growing in that direction, rather than victimizing myself and feeling the pain of feeling like a loser, or feeling like I wasn't capable of achieving like my own success, or like that I wasn't good enough, or that I wouldn't be big enough, you know what I mean? And that's kind of like where I started. And then as far as like, I think I'm gonna just share like my most recent why. My biggest why for now is just, I think it's just therapeutic, and a lot of people can relate to that. Is like when I just have a stressful job, the world's chaotic, and like I'm socially exhausted from like just like the amount of communications that I have with so many people. And I think this is the one location where, the gym is one location where I can separate myself from reality and really just focus on myself. Like it's just me against me, which is a common saying in the fitness realm. But further than that, I think like if I lost sight of that, that reason why, I probably would plunder and I probably would not continue doing what I'm doing. But for my own sanity, it's like we grow up learning structure through sports, most of us, right? Discipline through sports. We usually have a coach that is coaching us to be better. We're pushing ourselves, we're growing, we're developing. And I think that's something that has just helped me develop as like a human, as a man. Was like sports was my escape from the traumas that I had. I was tired of feeling insecure, and even now I'm like, cool, like I'm insecure, but not in an unhealthy way. I'm more insecure in a way that I'm like, I just don't want to look the same as I did before, and I'm so afraid of going back to like where I started that I keep pressing forward to be better than I've ever been. You know what I mean? And so I think that's like my advice to people who want to get started. Like, you're right, absolutely. Get your ass to the gym and just sign up. The biggest obstacle or hurdle of beginning a journey is just getting to where you have a place to go.
It's literally, that's point A.
Mm-hmm. It's
get to the
A.
gym and sign up.
Yeah, and my dad always said this. He was like, before you know where you're going and before you know what you have or where to start, you need to know where you're at. And so I was like, okay, before I know where I need to go, before I need to know what I need to have, I need to know where I'm at. And I was like, cool, this is where I'm at. I don't have a gym membership. That's the first.
That's the first step.
Yeah, the checkbox. And then I was like, that's very wise, because he always used the analogy of getting lost in the forest. Like, if you're lost in the forest and you just keep running around, do you really know what direction you're going in? Like, are you marking where you've been? Do you know where you're at? Do you know what you have? And I was like, no. And he's like, good, start there. Second thing is, like, for people who are afraid of what other people are going to think or comparing themselves, like, stop. Like, you just have to reach inside yourself and just know, like, your journey is just beginning, but that's your journey beginning, and you can't compare yourself to people who've been doing this for 10 years. You know what I mean? It's just unrealistic, it's unhealthy, and you're damaging yourself.
Everybody's journeys are completely different. Mm-hmm. Nobody's journeys are going to be, you can look up to somebody and look up, like, for inspiration, but your journey is going to be completely different than his.
Yeah, and I think the one thing too is, like, you got to learn to trust time, trust the process, which again is another reference that most people know. But like, in order to trust like your process, you have to have standards for yourself. Like, hold yourself to high standards. Otherwise, you're never going to be able to fulfill what you want, look the way you want, feel the way you want, because you yourself don't have standards to even start. You know what I mean? And so I think, like, it's going to take both sides of the coin. One, it's going to take forming good habits. Equally, it's going to take breaking bad habits. And I think that's where people kind of like get caught up, is because they're like, well, if I just form good habits, I'm going to go in the right direction. But it's like, yeah, but if you keep doing the things, the bad habits as well, like, you're only in a standstill because you think you're progressing, but you keep falling back. So where are you really going? So you need to be like, it's going to take double the energy at first, because one, you got to recalibrate your mindset and break the bad habits so that you can continue pouring energy into the good habits. So where energy goes, energy flows, right? And so, yeah, so, it's definitely like a hurdle at first, but I just challenge people who are fearful just to, like, hey, dude, just walk into a gym, get your membership, right? Stick to yourself, stay down for the come up.
And really quick,
mm-hmm.
Don't make excuses. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's another major thing that people are like, I have work from this time to this time, and by the time I get off, it's like 8:30. Well, there's still time. It's just you have to.
You gotta want it.
You gotta want it. You gotta push yourself. And I mean, if you're gonna get 4 hours of sleep, 5 hours of sleep, then hey, if you really want it, you're gonna do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like, quit making excuses for yourself to like victimize yourself. But one, like, yeah, how bad do you want it? Like, because an hour in the gym, right? Even 45 minutes in the gym is manageable. Like, I work, and this isn't all about me, but I sometimes work anywhere from 6 hours to 15 hours depending on the workload, and I still have to go to the gym. But I think like once you start getting in that consistent routine, and you start realizing how better off you are, because you're activating your body, you're getting the blood flowing, endorphins are going, and you're just like eating right and putting more emphasis into wealth, you tend to just feel better all around as a person.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, once you hit the gym and you're consistent for like a month or two, you're gonna see progress. If you've never hit the gym before, you're gonna see the newbie gains. The beginner. The beginning. You're gonna wanna keep going because you're gonna see progress, and it's just gonna motivate you to keep going. And it's just, for me, that's how it started, and it was just a rolling ball effect.
What I think people don't understand yet, because they probably haven't started their fitness journey, is like once you get consistent and you get good at a routine, you actually feel worse when you're out of routine. Like now that I go to the gym, it is exhausting, it is tiring, because I'm putting in like all this effort, I'm eating a lot, I'm exerting my body, at the gym. But it's like the weeks where I don't go to the gym that I feel worse than I've ever had before, and I feel like that hinders myself and my everything else. Like work, I feel worse. My relationships, I feel worse. Mentally, I feel worse. Emotionally, I feel worse. And it's the only time that I'm feeling the most fulfilled is when I go to the gym and I'm like staying consistent with it. So I think people need to really just get past like the self-doubt mentally, because it is just I think personally it's just like a mental barrier that they just have to breach a little bit, of just like, hey, again, it's gonna feel hard, and you're gonna think it's hard initially, but it gets easier and it gets harder when you're out of that routine. So just like look for that outcome, and I think most of us here would really like consider that a credible statement, because I guarantee you, if you don't go running now, which was probably hard initially, but if you didn't go running all week or 2 weeks, you'd probably be like, dude, I feel miserable. You know what I mean? It's
dude,
like,
yeah, and then when you say you take like a couple days off,
even a day off,
and then you come back to the gym, you're like, dang, what the heck, I feel off. It's like you almost have to like get back into the routine. Even just 1 or 2 days, I'm like, man. But I mean, don't get me, I love my rest days. I'll do like Saturday Sunday rest
off.
day.
Yeah, but then
if you miss a day during the week, and you're just like, man, it just, I feel like it completely throws off my routine, and I'm like, well, now I got to readjust, and it's just.
Yeah, and I think like, it has to become a lifestyle. Honestly, if you look at everything as a chore, it's really about attitude, right? Too, I think attitude is everything when you are trying to pick up a habit, or when you're putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation, because you can either have that outlook of, oh, this is going to suck and this is going to be tough, or this is going to be hard, or you can look further and deeper and be like, hey, no, the benefits of this are really great. I just have to stick it through. I'm better than this. I hold myself accountable. And I use my dad as reference because he's amazing. But my dad was a dairy farmer for years. He went like 3 straight years without a day off. Wow. And I was just like, he's working from 4:30 in the morning until like 7:30 at night, and just that was his lifestyle. But I asked him, I was like, Dad, do you know any different? He was like, no, but I feel weird if I stop doing what I'm doing, and I feel worse if I try to come up with excuses or say that I'm tired. And I'm like, dang. He's like, mijo, like, it's all about the way you think of things and how you perceive things. Yes, because you could be a Debbie Downer and look at everything, a glass half empty, or you can be optimistic, hold yourself accountable, be passionate, and look at the brighter side of things, looking at the glass half full, right. And so I think, again, as cool as it is to be physically strong, the real workout is up here. It's always going to be up here. Like how you go into the gym, how you're mentally keeping yourself motivated during your workout. When you're tired, are you still, making making it to the gym? Are you finding time in your routine? It all starts with your mentality about things. And I think people are just so caught up in like physically this hurts, but it's like, no, you're hurting yourself because you're mentally weak.
Yeah, 100%.
So.
100%. Joel, did you want to touch on the subject?
I think we're rolling pretty good. We could just
that was, I think, that was a little bit more than 5 tips.
That was good. That was a
solid.
good question.
Yeah. Shout out to my guy. I don't know if I should name drop. I'm gonna look at my phone really quick. I have a couple notes that I have here. Really quick. So we're called the Five Guys. If you guys haven't noticed, our spelling is pretty unique. So it's FYV. Joel, did you want to take that away and explain what it stands for?
So FYV stands for Fuel Your Vision. The way how this whole thing had originally started was just like, I believe Rob pitched it, or I forgot how this whole thing went, but we're just like, you know what? Yeah, let's just do it.
Yeah,
so
I
just
think
like
I said Five Guys just joking around.
Mm-hmm.
I think me and Daniel were driving home, and I'm like, well, there's five guys. But I didn't.
I said it.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
I think it was me. But yeah, so it really just went off of that, and then we just came up with a just different, unique spelling, and Joel came up with the Fuel Your Vision, which I think is perfect for what we're all striving for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I definitely believe, just be fearless, dude. Like, genuinely, like, if that's like the one thing that I could leave you with, like, in this podcast, is literally just be fearless. Like, don't stand in your way before the world does. Don't tell yourself no before the world does. Like, don't listen to any outside voices. Learn to trust in yourself and pursue what you want. Every day counts, and we all have the same 24 hours in the day, and I'd rather use that time pouring that belief back into me and understanding that, like, dude, like, Joel, like, you're invincible. Like, as crazy as that sounds, or as cocky as that is relayed out, that's genuinely just how I feel. Like, I feel like nothing stands in the way. Everything happens for me, and I'm walking in my destiny. Whether if good or bad happens, like, that's what it means to just fuel your vision. It's just, like, trusting in yourself and trusting and knowing that there's better and that what you're looking for is out there. So I'm just, like, I already know, I just have that much belief and trust in us, knowing that we have what it takes and we have that love and support in each other and for each other, knowing that, like, just by love alone, we can fuel each other to where we need to be. So I'm just like, yeah, I trust, like, it comes with trust, and yeah.
And I feel like Fuel Your Vision, it can go for anybody. It's really... I got lost what I was going to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, that's okay. I think just to add to what Joel was saying, I think Fuel Your Vision is huge, because you're right. Like, it's like a invitation to, like, unlocking and loving yourself. And, like, I think the biggest thing, that Joel said is, like, yeah, it may come across as, like, cocky, right? But there's a distinction between arrogance and confidence. And arrogance is, defining yourself as better than everyone else. And confidence is defining yourself as the best for you. And I think, like, with this group of us here, we would all say that we're pretty confident in our own skin and who we are and what we're doing, but we never would say, like, we're better. We make jokes, saying that we're better than each other, but it comes from a good place of, like, we just complement each other well. And I tell Joel, iron sharpens iron. And I think, like, what Fuel Your Vision means to me is just, like, if there's anything that, like, again, like, you're passionate about, like, why would you waste time thinking about starting it, or waste time, letting an idea just cross your mind and not do anything about it? Like, that's what bothers me, is, like, when people talk about things. And I think I'm going to shout out our cameraman, because he's held us accountable of, like, oh, you want to make content? Like, I'm here. I'll adjust my schedule. I'll be here late at night. Doesn't matter how many hours. I just need to know that you're committed and you're going to do what you say. And one of my favorite quotes is, like, don't talk about it, be about it.
And that's literally what Rob says.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's kind of, like, why I love this idea. I thought it was really great that you guys thought about it and like get to even like participate in it, is because I want people to know like, hey, don't talk about it, be about it, but in a love yourself. And when you start loving yourself and stop, you know, performing and being insecure or having abandonment issues or any of these other people pleasing emotions that hinder you from absolutely just being your biggest fan, you know, that's when things start to change. And again, it's not classifying yourself as better than anybody else. It's doing for yourself. So hopefully, you know, in the long run, you can make people better with you. Because that's ultimately like one of my goals, and something that I tell, you know, my management team all the time. I'm like, my success isn't measured by my own. My success is measured by yours. And at the end of the day, if you're not successful, I'm losing, and I'm doing my job wrong. But I want them to be so successful, and it's part of the reason I work my tail off at work, is because I want them to be the best. And in order for them to be the best, I need to continue to make myself better so they don't surpass me or they don't get bored and leave.
I love that.
You know what I mean? So, Fuel Your Vision is dope. So,
Fuel your vision.